opportunity. We are hopeful that you as participants will gain new knowledge or have the opportunity to enhance your knowledge around behavior in general. So the patent system is really excited to offer this opportunity in particular during the school closures so that we can continue to remain connected, but also to offer our support in any capacity necessary that patent can do. And so again, thank you for joining us. We're excited to have as many people that signed up attend, and please know that these sessions will be recorded. The mission of the Pennsylvania Training and Technical Assistance Network is to support the efforts and initiatives of the Bureau of Special Education and to build the capacity of local educational agencies to serve students who receive special education services. Our goal for each child is to ensure individualized education program teams begin with the general education setting with the use of supplementary aids and services before considering a more restrictive environment. So we have a couple housekeeping items that we need to take care of that are related to Zoom. So given the amount of people that we anticipate showing up, we are at this point asking everyone to stay muted. And this is to avoid background noise. So when you enter, you will be muted upon entry. Not every session will be this way. However, if you have signed up for today, we're hoping to maintain the mute upon entry support. Please know that at any time in any other of the Behavior Bite coffee breaks, if the host is allowing for talking, you do have the ability to use the space bar to mute and unmute yourself. In addition to that, we would also ask that if you're willing to please feel free to share video or stop video at any point during the session. It is not a requirement for us to see you, but please know we are fully willing to engage with you in that way. You are also able to change cameras, access full video, etc. As a participant, please know that you can hover over the participants bar and see who is currently in the meeting. You can also hover over your name and select more to rename your screen name. And there's also nonverbal gestures that are available for your use, such as thumbs up, thumbs down, clapping, go faster, go slower, raise hand, lower hand, yes and no. So at any point during the session today, we do have Jeannie Hertzler, who I'll allow to introduce herself, and Tara Russo as well, that will be managing the chat and also seeing any of those gestures as we go through. During today's session, we will not be using share screen. At this point, I will be the only one that will be showcasing the website for us. And the chat will only be available to the panelists. So as people are entering our session now, just as a reminder, we are asking for an attendance keep. So we need you to submit your name, your role, and the district or organization that you support. And if you could do that directly to Tara Russo, who is the host of this session, that would be appreciated. And please also know that all of the Behavior Bite sessions will be recorded and available for use. And I will show you on our website where all of those materials will be housed. So anytime we talk about behavior, we know that it is important for us to orient ourselves around some group norms, some expected behaviors that we would love to see during the course of the session. And so we're providing this matrix for you as a friendly reminder of the types of things that you can do as a Zoom participant. And so in order to be respectful and responsible during a whole group Zoom, again, we've highlighted some of these: being aware of your camera, checking for background items, using the raise hand option to verbally share, and muting upon entry. Responsible would be participating in discussions and remembering to stay present on the Zoom call. So again, we want to thank you for joining us today. We hope that as you engage in these behavior bites, that you walk away with maybe a tip or a skill that you can use when you're supporting schools or your school in general. So this online matrix is something that you could potentially take back to your sites and use with any of your students or your staff. So before we get started, I would love for Jeannie and Tara to just introduce themselves and the initiatives that they support.
Hi everybody, I'm Tara Russo. I work out of the Patent Harrisburg office, and I am part of the Behavior Initiative, and I also work with Inclusive Practices and the Alternate Eligible Content. Welcome.
Hi everybody, my name is Jeannie Hertzler. I am the Western Regional Lead for MTSS Academics, and I also support our literacy and dyslexia expansion work.
Thank you, ladies. Both of you have been a tremendous help thus far, and they're going to be supporting throughout today's session. So Jeannie will be managing allowing participants to come in through the waiting room, and Tara will be managing attendance and chat. Jeannie will do the same, and they also will interject at times whenever there's a need if I miss anything on the website. So the session that you signed up for today, we're really excited to showcase. It's the Patent Behavior Continuity of Education Resources, Where Do I Go? A website tour. And so I think it's important for us to do this with all of you so that you have a sense of what is at your fingertips. I know for me personally, and I'm probably speaking for a few of you, that it feels like information overload a lot of times ever since everything happened with COVID-19. And so as a system, Patent wanted to create a place where you could have one-stop shop essentially and find whatever you're looking for related to a particular topic. And in this case, we're going to take you through the behavior website to give you a sense of what's out there and what's available and things that we think would be very beneficial to you as you embark on this new journey that we're all facing at this time. And so this slide just represents the section that we're going to talk about, and I'm going to do a very in-depth tour through the Patent website to really give you a sense of what is there. If you have any questions during that time, if you want me to go back to something or want to take a deeper dive around a topic or a link, please just put that to me in the chat box or to Tara or Jeannie, and they will make sure that I get that message. So thank you again, and we're going to take this tour right now. So let's come out of this, and we're going to go to the Patent website. So if you're following along, you would access www.pattan.net, and this should be the splash page that you see in front of you. For many of you, this website may look very familiar. For others, it may be a new experience. So I will do my best to meet everyone in the middle. So forgive me if you have seen this, and hopefully this is something new and exciting for you if you have not. So the first place that I'm going to start is just orienting us to the website splash page in general. As you can see in this first part, we highlight and advertise various sessions that are upcoming and also any announcements that are important to share. In addition to that, if you are ever looking to register for trainings, we have our training calendar, which does allow you the opportunity to select by topic. You can narrow your search, but you can also search by month. So if you did receive a tweet or something on Facebook that had a day, a time, and an event, you can easily come to this training calendar and find it. And when you click there, you can register easily through Wisdomware. Please also know it's important to create a login for our Patent website. Some of you may already have that, but if you don't, you can create your own login under Login and Register, and then that will be your login anytime you want to register for a session. In addition to that, down here under the Patent logo, we have what we call our major buckets, if you will, of content and information. And so each bucket has drop downs that allows you to take a deeper dive to find anything that you're looking for. So for instance, under multi-tiered systems of support, you'll see MTSS, you'll see behavior. Jeannie mentioned the dyslexia screening and early literacy pilot. Information is right here for that. English learners, equity, literacy, among others. When you go to graduation and post-secondary outcomes, you can see secondary transition, graduation, post-secondary outcomes, and then increasing graduation rates, which talks about how do we increase graduation rates, in particular for students with disabilities. And that has been our state systemic improvement plan project that has been going on for about 5 years. If you move over to disabilities, you can see that it is organized again by category: autism, blind visual impairment, deaf-blind, speech language, students with significant cognitive disabilities, and traumatic brain injury. In supports, you will see Alternative Education for Disruptive Youth, AEDY, Family Engagement, Inclusive Practices. Tara mentioned that as one of her initiatives. Intensive Interagency, Paraprofessionals, and I know we had a few paraprofessionals sign up for this session, so welcome and thank you for joining us. I believe we also have our state lead for the para initiative, Mr. Ron Logan, on the call. So please know that if you have questions around the Paraprofessionals initiative, that Ron Logan is your guy. It's rlogan@patent.net. And then we have STEM and computer science. And lastly, we have our legal tab, which takes you to special education law, least restrictive environment, any resources that are coming out of the Department of Education, significant disproportionality, which is around special education, significant disproportionality. Any special education and gifted forms can be found under this tab as well. Special ed leadership, and then special education plans. So please know there is a plethora of resources on our website, and we know we can't possibly cover all of them in this short time that we have together. But if at any point, regardless of COVID-19, if you're looking for any great information from Patent, please know that it is chock full of great content that you can access. So without further ado, what I'd like to do is take us to the Continuity of Education Planning Resources tab, and that is the mustard colored box that you see here. When you click for Family, Students, and Educators, it will take you to a page, and it's listed under COVID-19 resources. Now, please know our terminology is going to shift a bit away from using COVID-19 as the title. Rather, it should be continuity of education, as that is the way that PBE is now asking our schools to really think about the supports that they're going to offer during this time. And so when you go here, what you will see is a listing of all of the initiatives that are available via Patent. And each initiative was charged in that very first week when schools originally closed way back in mid-March to really populate their websites with materials and content that would be able to support families, students, and educators during this time. And so you can see that all of those initiatives are listed out for you. In addition to that, we have the Pennsylvania Department of Education COVID-19 Frequently Asked Questions. And just as a reminder, we at Patent, as well as the Department of Education, we have designated this as the go-to for any questions that you might have during this time related to overarching state guidance around COVID-19 and how education is functioning in this time that is very unprecedented. And so I would highly encourage you, if you do have questions about graduation, special education law, things that really go beyond the scope of this particular session, we would really recommend that you take the opportunity to click there and access those frequently asked questions. And that is updated almost on a daily, if not every other day basis. And so it's pretty updated throughout the weeks, the months, etc. And we are definitely thinking that is the best place for you to get your most up-to-date information. There are additional resources here. HUNE is one of our partners in the work around special education, but also in supporting our students from Latinx or Hispanic background. And so we highly recommend that if you have students and families that would benefit from those supports or just connecting, HUNE would be an excellent resource. In addition to that, as we consider families, the Peel Center is another great resource that you can access at any time. And then finally, the ARC-PA is around alternative placement. And so you can get more information around that. And I'm going to take a minute and just open that up for you so that you get a sense of what it is. And I'm sorry, I misspoke. That is the Accreditation Review Commission on Education. So please know that you can get more information about ARC. Okay. So without further ado, we're going to move into behavior. So as we go down, we're going to click here and you will see Continuity of Education Planning Resources. Now, before we go there, if you were to access behavior prior to COVID-19, These would have been the main topics you would have seen on the behavior page, which you can still see under MTSS behavior. So if you're looking for things related to Pbis, classroom management, our Student Behavior Coalition, which has been postponed until the fall, and other featured topics, you are still able to access them in two places, here and also under MTSS behavior. But we're going to take an opportunity to take a walk through the behavior continuity of education planning resources. So please know that we have organized this into 3 categories: for families, for students, and for educators. So I'm going to begin with the family side. Okay. One thing that you may not have been aware of is shortly after COVID-19 became a part of our reality at the patent system, we thought it was important to offer office hours so that if families or educators wanted to connect with us, discuss certain things, get tips on different ways of approaching behavior, etc., that this would be a place that they could do so. And so we wanted to note here that office hours are intended to provide real-time technical assistance to educators, caregivers, parents, and students. Please note, technical assistance is not legal advice. So specific questions concerning a student's special education program or the laws relating to the provision of services in a child's IEP should be directed to Consult Line, and we provide that number. However, if there are families who are trying to do this remote learning thing for the first time and really want to figure out, how do I do Pbis at home? This may be a time or a place that they could reach out to members of our behavior team to set up a time to talk and have that opportunity to dialogue. And so we offer this opportunity via email. So at any point, a family member or an educator can email our behavior@patent.net email address to set up an appointment to engage in our office hours. So please know that those dates and times are solely based upon the coordination of time of our patent consultant for behavior and the time that the family has requested. After that, we then have categories established. Again, this is for families. So we begin with the Pennsylvania Department of Education, and this resource was recently released that again creates a one-stop shop on promoting positive learning environments online and at home. So I'm going to take a moment and just open this up, and it will take you to the page as part of PDE. And the nice thing about this page is that this resource list came out of the Office for Safe Schools with various partners, and it's nicely organized by category again. So strategies to promote safety and wellness online and at home. It talks about maintaining norms and routines, providing age role appropriate information to caregivers and children. And again, very detailed in the categories so that anyone who again is looking for a one-stop shop can access this link very easily and access resources that are connected to whatever they are seeking. So I just want to take a little perusal through this. Again, social emotional learning strategies for children is here. Resources for adults on modeling and promoting social emotional learning in the home is also noted here. So I'm just taking a moment to walk us through that. So this is one of those links that has been deemed very beneficial in the sense that it creates a one-stop shop for everything you may need or have an interest around. And again, this is in the family section of our website. And a lot of things that you're going to see are duplicated because as educators, we're also in the role of family or parent. And so a lot of these things can have a double meaning. So please know that even as educators, you'll see similar links that are available to you as well. In addition to that, we have created a section titled Pbis at Home, which is creating a behavior teaching matrix for remote instruction. That matrix that we highlighted at the beginning on expectations, we want to see translated in the home environments to really bridge that consistency for students as they have exited the schoolhouse now into a home learning environment. And that comes from pbis.org. So you can click here for the actual link to that document, but another one-stop shop spot is under 4 resources to support students during the pandemic, which also comes from pbis.org. So I'm going to open that up. And you will see here that there are 4 resources that are solely dedicated to the COVID-19 outbreak and provides not only an English version, but a recently released Spanish translation. So if you want to get this resource out to families and also to support your own professional learning, these have been vetted. They're very strong, and we definitely support pbis.org. So please know there, again, one-stop shop is the way that we want to go. Okay, so now we're moving into pre-recorded trainings. And so we want to offer you the opportunity to be able to access videos, YouTube, our patent pod that's available. And so we've created a space for those videos that you can access at any time. So the first one that I want to highlight is the patent behavior video playlist. This was created solely after the COVID-19 outbreak impacted education. And so a few of my colleagues on the call, Dr. Tina Lawson, Dr. Catherine Poggi, Dr. Silky Caparelli, Erica Caruter, Shonda Talene, they've all contributed videos to this work. So I'm going to take you out for a minute so you can see that. And it's moving a little slow. So let me do it a different way. I'll go through a different browser, because sometimes that makes all the difference. So you'll get another review of how to get to this point. So once you're here, you're clicking on continuity of education, going down to behavior, going to supports for families, and then our video playlist. And there we go. So as you can see, currently we have about 6 episodes that are available, and in a playlist format. You don't have to watch all 6 together. You can select the topic that is of most interest. So we started off with how to talk to your children about COVID-19. We then moved into maintaining predictable routines and the CHAMPS protocol. We then had a 2-part series on how to deal with challenging behaviors while schooling at home during the COVID-19 crisis. And then we moved into how to support students who are schooling from home, coaching executive skills. And I'm excited to share that we have a 3-part series. The first one has been already uploaded, and that is around educator and family self-care. So that first episode, episode number 6, is understanding stress and the importance of self-care, with 2 more to follow. I believe the next one, according to our presenters, will probably be the 27th of April. So please keep a lookout for that. And you can also always follow us as subscribers on YouTube, and then you'll get an alert every time a new video is uploaded. In addition to that, we have patent pods that we think would be beneficial for families at this time. One is around the ABCs of increasing graduation rates. Another is collaborating with families, effective family engagement. And another one is social emotional learning, cultivating essential life skills. And again, Patent Pod is something that you can follow via YouTube as well. So for instance, I'll take you out to see. Okay, so that is one of our many episodes of Patent Pod, and I would again highly encourage you to subscribe to Patent via YouTube so that you can get updates anytime a new Patent Pod is released. It's one of our most popular offerings, and we have found, given the closures, that Patent Pod has really taken off in the amount of views that we receive, and it's easily shared via social media and or your email threads, etc. So please know that any topic that you're looking for, Patent Pod probably has it, and they're quick. They're about less than 25 minutes, if not less, and so you get a really quick pickup of great information. So those are the pre-recorded trainings that are available to you. You are currently in Behavior Bytes coffee break, and we are excited again to be offering this opportunity every Tuesday, beginning today, from 11:30 to 12:30. And the family page we thought would be most appropriate for this particular session. The remaining sessions may have utility for families. However, we thought this one would be the most appropriate at this point. So that's why that is the only one listed. Please also know for your own knowledge base that anytime a behavior bite takes place, the presenter will go in and provide the materials, whether it's the PDF of their PowerPoint or any other resources that they use during the course of their session. And please know that we have created a Google Drive that you may access at any point. So anytime you need materials from today's session or ones in the future, there has been a Google Drive created by topic and date. So if you were to go to today's session and double click, you will see our PowerPoint for today is there for you. Okay. Come out of that. And I'm going to pause for a moment and just see from Jeannie and or Tara if there are any questions. I think we might be okay. Let me just check on my end. All right, perfect. Okay, so as we scroll down for the remainder of resources under the family page, we have noted a couple nice resources that again create a one-stop shop. And one is helping children with traumatic separation or traumatic grief related to COVID-19. So I'm going to take a minute and open that up. Hopefully, okay. And this comes from the National Child Traumatic Stress Network. My colleague and friend, Dr. Dana Milakovic, shared this and has shared this resource, this website, quite often as supporting the statewide trauma work. And I found this particular resource to be extremely useful, especially considering that grief will be, sadly, a piece that we will have to tackle when students return back from school and or just as they're dealing with grief during this time as well. So I thought this was a great resource to highlight for families. In addition to that, I'm going to take a skip over PA Career Ready skills and come back to it, but in the vein of social emotional learning and supporting mental health of students, Tara Russo and her colleague, Sandy Shacklady White, created again, a nice one-stop shop for social emotional resources for families. And it orients or organizes around the competencies that are connected to social emotional learning as per CASEL. And so the competencies are here. There's an informative video there. The skills and attitudes that we should be seeing based on that competency. And then website resources, additional resources, books, and finally media. So I would highly encourage you, if you take a moment, to orient yourselves to this document. It's really nicely done and very user-friendly. I'm just going to scroll again and show you social emotional learning resources for the home and community. So if we scroll there, this is another patent document that was created again by Tara and Sandy. It talks about the CEL core competencies and the various competencies that we went over in the previous document. And then creates, again, that opportunity to look at the skills associated documents, books, and any miscellaneous connections, as well as additional websites. So we are encouraging you to share these with as many families as you possibly can. There are a number of other resources here for families, but in the sake of time, I'm going to move on to students and then educators, because as you'll see, some of these resources will be duplicated in those other splash pages. So let's go back and go to continuity of education resources. And now we're going to move to students. Please know that the Behavior Initiative at this time is not offering office hours for students. We are keeping it to families only at this point, but we are looking for very innovative and creative ways of obtaining student voice. And so we're really excited for the opportunities that we have on the horizon that will allow we as educators to hear directly from students about their experiences during the quarantine, as well as just what they hope to do after it's over and how they hope to re-enter the school system. What skills and strategies are they going to use to cope and to be resilient? So we're really excited for that. So under the students page, we don't have a lot here yet, but as I said, there will be the opportunity for more to be developed here. So currently what we have are 2 patent pods, well actually 1 patent pod that speaks about graduation and what do you need to do to obtain that. And that would be focusing on attendance, behavior, and course performance, which is the ABCs. And then we have a session that was at our 2019 Pbis Implementers Forum, which was around empowering student voice within Pbis in secondary school settings. And so that is approximately 55 minutes, and students can watch it, adults can watch it, but just to get a sense of how important and powerful student voice can be. As we said, we wanted to put resources that may or may not be patent connected, but may be an outside resource that we have found to be useful. And so you will see the Pennsylvania Career Ready skills are here. So if we were to click there, these skills have been really championed by Dr. Pam Emery out of the Office for Safe Schools. And she has created a lot of great work that connects to what we highlighted previously with CASEL and the competencies that were noted, such as self-awareness, maintaining relationships, etc. And so as part of the Career Ready skills, we take a look at those social emotional learning progressions and how they can be embedded into our everyday work. And so I'm not going to take the time to take us through each of these, but please know that this is available and that the PA Career Ready skills are highly useful when you are looking at how to embed social emotional learning into your content and to supporting students. We've talked about the ABCs. There are a number of publications that Patent has developed that are related to that. And this is also available in English and Spanish around how to really increase those graduation rates and think about attendance and behavior and course performance. It's easy to think about it pre-COVID-19, but now more than ever, we need to have a little bit more intention around what that really means and what that looks like in this new situation. So these can be very good resources, again, regardless of COVID-19 or not. Also, Teaching Tolerance is another great website that has a ton of awesome resources to support families, educators, and students. Teaching Tolerance is really around equitable practices and how to be culturally responsive. And so they have a link around student task that really give activities and assignments, if you will, to help students think about being critical thinkers and also think about civic duties, etc. And so I would highly encourage our students that may have access to this to take a look at some of the tasks that have been built out to think about as they engage in this time as well. Okay. So as we round out today's session, there was a question. Tara, thank you for sharing that. I believe the question was how to access Wisdomware. So Wisdomware is the registration component to access training that's provided by Patent. And so the best way to do that is to go to your login portion up in the top right corner of the website and create a login. And that would be a username and password. And once you have that, if you were to access the training calendar, you would be able to go to any session. And I'm just going to use this as an example. And as you can see, a lot of our sessions have been canceled or changed to a virtual medium. So I'm going to start here. And once you are in a session or looking at a session, at this point, this one is closed, but otherwise this tab would allow you to register. And if you still couldn't access that, you would contact the registration contact over on the right. And in this case, for this session, it's Kelly Cap. For others, the names are different. But any issues that you would have registering, whether it's creating your login information or forgetting your password, those folks are there to help support you and get you in so that you can register for sessions. So I'm hoping that's helpful. That's probably the easiest way to take you through that process. So hopefully that helped. If there are other questions, please do not hesitate to keep them coming. Okay, so we left off with support for students, and now we're going to wrap up with behavior supports for educators. And I want to forewarn you, when you open this one, it's a lot more than what you saw in the family and student section. And so that's why I have to thank Jeannie publicly for bringing this idea to light. That's why we thought it was important to take you on a tour and just give you a sense of what is available and potentially what you could use easily when you encounter supporting teams, when you are a leader in a school, when you are a teacher, if you're a parent, etc. So supports for educators. We have the opportunity for you to access office hours as school teams, as administrators, as whatever entity it is. If you would seek out training and technical assistance from us, we are very much open to that. So a number of you on the call are either school counselors, your school psychologist, you may be a principal, an assistant principal, a curriculum director, etc. You have access to office hours, and we do have hours posted. So from Monday through Friday, from 8 to 11:30 and or 12:30 to 4 p.m., you can go ahead and schedule office hours with any one of us from the behavior team that have signed up to support office hours. We've listed out possible topics that you could ask for, or you could provide those topics to us, and that will help us determine who best could support you. So I'll just read out a couple of them. Universal screening and progress monitoring, school-wide Pbis structures and sustainability, classroom management, alternatives to suspension and expulsion, and just a shameless plug, a couple of the next topics in Behavior Bytes highlight a couple of these already. So please don't feel that you can only go to Behavior Bytes and can't get more. If at any point you want more information or want to access office hours, all you would need to do is email behavior@patent.net, and we will navigate that for you and set that up. So please know that office hours are available for school teams and school personnel. I'm going to take a pause because I see the chat is up. Just make sure I'm not missing a question. Okay, great question. So someone asked about the Google Drive and how is it accessed? So this is a perfect segue. So similar to what you saw on the family section, we duplicated that here under the educators page. So under the Behavior Bytes section, we highlight that it's every Tuesday. We ask for people to sign up so that we have a sense of who's attending. And then we've listed out all of the topics that are upcoming. And we'll take a moment at the end to remind ourselves of what they are. But as I mentioned, when you click here, it says, please access session materials here. There's a hyperlink. When you click there, you should see again those Behavior Byte topics by title. And if you double click in there, you should be able to see any materials that have been populated. If you have any difficulties with that, please do not hesitate to let us know by emailing behavior@patent.net. Okay. So again, as I mentioned, you will see that some things look like duplicates, and that's okay. That was purposeful. We wanted to have consistency on the relevance of a lot of these links and documents. And so you'll notice the PDE Positive Learning Environments document is there. Our Pbis content is here. And then pre-recorded trainings are also listed here that we went through already. A couple that are different from what you saw under the family section would be the Pbis Implementers Forum 2019 playlist. So for many of you that have attended the forum in the past, you know that there are really great topics that are covered. And so if you were to access this playlist, you would be able to see sessions from that particular forum. And they're organized by session, number, and title. Thank you, Tina and Sonia, for the work on diligently organizing this. It looks great. and we hope that you'll find it to be useful and effective. As you know, our 2020 forum unfortunately was canceled, so in the meantime, we encourage you to reflect back on the 2019 event, because again, there was great content presented there by implementers and national experts. In addition to that, we have some other videos that we know have been useful for other teams around more than Tier 1 school-wide Pbis. It's necessary to support student complex needs, so we need to be intentional about advanced tiers. We also repeated social emotional learning, cultivating essential life skills that you saw on a previous page. And then we have a Quality Educational Practices webinar series by Dr. William Heward, and he comes from the world of autism. So our autism consultants who support behavior provided this link as well, and you can access it and see through our video section, which Tara, you were good at reminding me. Our video section on our website also allows you the opportunity to search by topic and find any videos of relevance that would be useful to you. And so as you can see here, when you click our link, it takes you directly to the series that Dr. Heward has provided to us in organized number and title. Okay. And then as we move down, this is where it gets to be a little lengthy, so that's admittedly on our part, but we wanted you to have access to as much as possible so that, again, you could have one place to just find everything you're looking for. And so as you look at these publications, they are also organized by topic. One is the teacher desk references, which have been a hallmark of the patent system. You can access those there, using instructional time effectively and then using questions strategically to enhance learning. We also have resources under MTSS behavior. A lot of them are connected to the Pennsylvania Positive Behavior Support Network, Pbis. And so you can find information there, publications there rather. The other one that I would highlight here is the MTSS Behavior Resources. This is also a nice link that gives you a plethora of resources related to MTSS behavior. But just as a plug, what will be up hopefully in the next hour, I put it up at 11. Sometimes it takes a little while for our website to catch up when we upload things. But if you were to check back in about an hour, you will see a recently re-released resource that we are titling Patent Behavior Resources for Educators. It's really nicely done. Special thanks to, again, Tina and Sonia from the Patent East office and Drew Hunter from our Harrisburg office for collaborating to re-release this. It organizes some of the videos that we talked about earlier, as well as other resources into the Danielson framework. So it creates another one-stop shop where educators can self-pace and self-guide their professional learning. So when that is available, it will be right here under MTSS Behavior Resources, and I would highly encourage you to take the time to take a look at that. As we scroll down, we move into proactive approaches to school discipline using alternatives to suspension and expulsion. We do have a patent publication that is connected directly to that topic. So if you were to click there, you are able to download any of these publications. And I'm going to take the minute to do that so that you can see, if you have not already, what some of our publications may look like. So the Alternatives to Suspension and Expulsion publication is nicely organized as well. It starts off with 10 examples of alternative disciplinary consequences. It then moves into reducing the need for suspension and expulsion, what we would call proactive strategies. And they're all listed there. This is not an exhaustive list, but provides some guideposts on different proactive strategies. And then it ends with preventing suspension and expulsion through school-wide behavior support. So let me start this up again. I wanna make sure, yes. So what I showed you here were the proactive, and up top are the reactive examples. So once a student has exhibited a behavior challenge or concern, then these could be potential alternatives after you're reacting to that behavior being exhibited. That is one that we highly recommend. Okay, let me get us back. All right, so as we move forward, we have a whole section on classroom management that we would highly recommend you take advantage of. as well as functional behavioral assessments and positive behavior support plans. Again, patent publications that you may or may not have seen before, but are really useful in guiding your work around those two areas. I mentioned earlier that we have paraprofessionals on the line, and we're so excited that they have joined us. We do have, as I mentioned, Ron Logan, who is our state lead for the Para Initiative, who helped us create the role of the paraprofessional document. And so this is something that is highly encouraged for our paras on the call to access. Ron did an awesome job with this and his team. And so we think that this will be a very useful document for you. Again, as you think about a new normal and a new approach to supporting the students that you have supported for a very long time. So we wanted to highlight that. And again, it's under paraprofessional resources. And as more resources become available for paras, we will continue to populate and update this. We've already discussed the PA Career Ready skills. And now I'd like to move into some of those web resources that are not necessarily a patent resource, but resources that we definitely think are useful and can support you in your efforts. So the first one is Pbis. I mentioned it earlier. This website is great if you are a Pbis site or a site who is thinking about starting Pbis. There are plenty of great resources here. So let's say you are a site that's looking to begin this process. There's a readiness checklist, how to get your school ready, how to connect to a network facilitator who helps with the training and technical assistance around Pbis, etc. So this would be definitely a go-to if that was the direction you're taking, and or if you are a site that currently implements Pbis, there are constantly updates on this website to help support you. I'm going to pause for a moment because I see chat. Okay. Thank you, Tara, for the reminder. If you have not already done so, please be sure to enter your full name, school district, and role in the chat directly to Tara Russo. Okay, so there are a couple other websites, and in the interest of time, I'm just going to highlight a couple of them for us, one of which is pbis.org. We did this at the beginning. But just as a reminder, even though a lot of the current information is about responding to the pandemic, this website has a ton of great topics related to behavior and positive behavior interventions and supports. And so I would just highly encourage you, when you have the opportunity, to go through this website, which is another great space for great behavior content. Another awesome resource that we have as a friend to Pennsylvania is Dr. Kathleen Lane. And some of you may be familiar with Dr. Lane's work, some maybe not, but she really talks about comprehensive integrated three-tiered models of prevention. And given the circumstances that we're in, she has created very timely resources related to teleteaching and setting up for success at home. And she's one of those people that I'm going to take my patent hat off for the moment and just say she's a hero. I love her work. I think she's amazing. And so I would highly recommend her for any of this type of content. So we've listed out specific items that we think would be so useful from her website, but know that her entire website is, again, chock full of great information. So if we were to click one of her items, you can see that she has nicely put this together around setting up routines, scheduling for success, teaching expectations, etc. So again, one that is highly recommended. Okay, as I said, we have a lot here, so I'm going to do my best to get us through as much as possible. Another one that would be nice to look at if you're really considering how to think about positive behavior supports and trauma would be from our Midwest Pbis network, and in particular, integrating and installing trauma-informed approaches within a Pbis framework. Again, this is something that could be very useful regardless of COVID-19, but at least gives you an opportunity to see how trauma, equity, all of those pieces fit within frameworks such as MTSS Pbis. And so this helps us to make those connections. Another great resource that was added was from the Iris Center. If you're not familiar with the Iris Center, it comes out of Vanderbilt University. And in particular, there were two items that we highlighted here. One is learning modules, addressing disruptive and non-compliant behavior, part 1. And then module 2 is simply the part 2 of that title. So if we were to click there, you will see that this is the first in a 2-part series around problem behavior in terms of stages of the acting out cycle and how to address that. And so challenge, initial thoughts, perspectives, and resources, wrap up, and assessment. So again, if you're doing your own professional learning at this time, or you want to provide opportunities for others in your systems around professional learning on how to address non-compliant and disruptive behavior, this would be a nice go-to to engage around. Again, there are many great resources that we have listed. And in the final moments, because I'd like to wrap around 12:25 to open it up for questions, I just want to highlight that we have created sections here for supporting English learners. And so there is a link here for coronavirus multilingual resources for schools. I'll click there so you can see the page. And this is, I'm hoping I say this right, Coleraine, Colorado, a bilingual site for educators and families of English language learners. And there are a lot of great resources here that would definitely be useful to us as we consider being culturally responsive. Okay. And then as we move out of supporting English learners, we then move into equitable practices. And equitable practices, or equity, is to ensure that all students are being supported and have access and opportunity. And so that speaks to students of color, students with disabilities, students who identify as LGBTQIA+, students who have any type of difference, ensuring that they don't experience disproportionality or any types of inequity in their school experience. And so the equitable practices section covers not only behavior, but the full academic school climate experience for any student. And so you can see here that for school teams, a recently released document from the National Association of School Psychologists actually came out yesterday. Equity considerations for during and after COVID school closures. And the and after is the part that I just want to spend some time on. Right now we're in the moment and we're addressing things in the moment, but as we consider re-entry into our school systems, we are definitely going to have to think differently. And so I love this resource because it talks about that and how you can think about that re-entry process. In addition to that, we have equity literacy during the COVID-19 crisis. That comes from the work of Paul Gorski. If any of you are familiar with his work, he is from edchange.org, and he talks about being equitable in our practices, especially during this time where disparities are being spotlighted even more as a result of the COVID-19 crisis. I mentioned teaching tolerance at the top of our session. There are a number of great topics and articles that speak to the coronavirus in particular. So teaching through coronavirus, what educators needs to know. This came out in early March, but there are a number of articles that really are connected to the coronavirus and the outbreak. And so I would just encourage you to take an opportunity to look through them. We visited Pbis.org. They do have an equity topic section that I would again encourage you to think about as you consider setting up positive school climates and cultures. That tab in particular is again chock full of great information around equity in Pbis. We are now at 12:25, so I want to thank you for your attention. I would like to, at this time, open it up for any questions. And so again, if you put that in the chat box to either myself, Jeannie, or Tara Russo, that would be really helpful. And I'll give you a moment to do that. We did have a question, will this be viewable later on? Yes, we are recording. And so when it is officially done and recorded and available, it will be at this section of the website. Let me show you. So under Behavior Bytes, when it says please access session materials here, the recording as well as the PowerPoint will be there for you. So as I close out the website and return us to the PowerPoint, I just want us to take a look at our upcoming Behavior Bytes. So we have coming up next Tuesday, Mr. Ron Logan and Dr. Tina Lawson will be co-presenting the next Byte, which is around addressing behavior as an administrator. This is an administrator's closed session. So we know that administrators are in a very unique position, and we want to offer them that opportunity to connect as well as receive some great information regarding their role in all of this. And so we're excited for that opportunity. Following that, on May 5th, we will be connecting with Ms. Shonda Talene out of the Patton Harrisburg office, and she will discuss supports for classroom management. May 12th, Dr. Drew Hunter will talk about supporting remote learning in a tiered behavioral framework. May 19th, Mr. Bob Shields from Patton Pittsburgh will talk about increasing engagement and decreasing discipline concerns. On May 26th, Dr. Silky Caparelli and Dr. Catherine Poggi will talk about instructional considerations for all teachers when supporting students with emotional and behavioral challenges. And our final behavior bite of 2020, or for the school year, 2019-2020, will be June 2nd with Dr. Scott Simo, I can't talk, and Dr. Catherine Poggi for de-escalation and cool down tactics to really make sure to de-escalate instructional moments. And so those are our upcoming sessions. We're excited for these opportunities to connect with you, if only for an hour. We hope that you find these sessions to be useful, and we just want to thank you for your time. In the remaining 2 minutes, please let us know if you have any questions, and if you have not already done so, please put in your name, your role, and the district or organization you support directly to Tara Russo. Thank you, everybody.